Welcome everyone to ImaginativeVisions.com. Justin here, back with more Gaming Central. And today, folks, we are going to be talking about the Netflix game Unhinged, which you can play. I finally got a chance to sit down and play this. And you know what? Let me give Netflix some credit because they continue to experiment on how gaming can fit into their streaming platform. And I'll have to say that Unhinged is their most ambitious idea yet. This was developed by Night School Studios, the creators of Oxenfree, and Unhinged is an interactive thriller that you play through Netflix on a television or computer while using your smartphone as the controller. And instead of treating the phone as the substitute gamepad, the developers incorporated it directly into the experience, making you use it for your flashlight, your communication, and connection to what's happening on screen. I thought gameplay wise, it was really, really effective, but more on that later. And the concept immediately caught my attention because it felt like Netflix is actually taking advantage of its platform rather than simply putting another traditional game behind the Netflix subscription. And I will have to say this though, that Unhinged is extremely short and very simple to play. But let's talk a little bit about that because that short runtime I felt hurt the game tremendously when it comes to story. And the story we follow Ava, who's voiced by Zoë Kravitz, who's trapped inside her apartment building during a Category 5, and the power goes out. Typical horror premise, right? The stairwell is inaccessible, and Ava's primary connection to the outside world is her best friend Claire, who's voiced by Sadie Sink, and she lives across the street. So what begins as a already uncomfortable situation becomes much worse because Ava starts investigating the building and realizes that she may not be alone. And I think that the simple premise works in the game's favor. Unhinged doesn't spend a lot of time expanding and or explaining its characters or slowly preparing you for the danger because it wants you to feel uncomfortable right from the jump. So it just kicks off. It gives you, hey, we only have because this game only takes a half an hour to play to beat. We only have a half an hour, so we really don't have much time for characterization. Here's your premise. This is the best friend. This is your main character. This guy's the killer. Let's go. Ah, I, yes, if you're looking for a quick fix, works perfectly for you. But keep in mind that we're playing this at home, right? You're playing this at home or wherever you have a TV or a laptop or PC, right? I would have liked this to at least be a 3 hour experience to give us time to really get to know certain characters such as Claire, Zoe, Claire, I keep saying Zoe, Claire and Ava, and letting them develop a little bit. Especially the antagonists could have benefited a lot from this because we have a little bit of glimpses of the motivation, but it's not enough information to keep the thriller moving. And I never felt that the story reached any form of psychological horror that its premise initially suggested was possible. And just when things are getting interesting, the credits roll. So, the story wise, just very disappointing. Gameplay, though, I will have to say this is where it becomes more interesting because the smartphone isn't simply used as a touchscreen controller. After you scan your QR code, as you can see here, the player connects to the game, and you're physically moving the device, pointing it at the screen. Think of it as like your Wiimote. You're not really moving Claire. It's point and click. So you're clicking where you want Claire to move. Claire will move that way. Excuse me, not Claire. Ava. Ava will move that way. And your phone will actually ring and vibrate when Claire is giving you calls. You have to check text messages, and it might sound like a gimmick, but there are moments where it generally adds to the immersion. The best way I could describe the gameplay in this is the Wii game Calling. So if you had a Nintendo Wii, and shameless plug, you can head over to the channel here and you can see me talking about it, Calling. And that has that same type of premise when you have to use your Wiimote and you have to answer calls and check text messages, but this time it's more immersive because you're actually using your own personal phone. And I thought that worked very well. And the actual gameplay surrounding the phone isn't particularly complicated because most of the time you're spent moving a flashlight around the environment, searching for objects, and you're responding to situations on time because if you run out of time, you get killed. And honestly, it's not a very hard, difficult game either. It's just making sure you point. They give you enough time to select a choice. If you don't select the choice, you're probably distracted or you're probably trying to see what will happen if you don't. And I'll have to say the controls can occasionally work against the experience because aiming the flashlight with your phone isn't always as precise as using an analog stick or mouse, and that becomes more noticeable when the game places you under a timer. So the quick time event or where you have to select a choice, sometimes, yeah, it gets a little bit unresponsive, but it's not game breaking. But I will say that my most disappointing aspect of the gameplay is actually how much the developers could have worked with this idea. The game establishes fascinating connections with Ava's phone, but you don't really get to use the phone as much besides answering calls and using your flashlight. She has a whole bunch of text messages that come in, but you can never reply back to her, to Claire. So it's just kind of there for more aesthetic purposes. And that's the kind of disappointing part. But I will say this, the graphics, not bad. Graphics, I would have to say, pretty damn good. Standard up to today's standards. I'm not a graphic core, so keep in mind I grew up in the 8-bit era, so me going and relishing about graphics and oh, this looks great, it was okay. I will have to say, depending on your internet connection, frame rate can be a bitch. If you're using bad Wi-Fi, depending on what your connection is how the frame rate's going to be. I have decent Wi-Fi, and I had no issues, minus like I guess one particular area that the game was hiccuping and starting just a bit, but it literally lasted like 5 seconds, and then it went back to it, and then I finished the game completely. I would have to say that the most impressive aspect is the lighting in here. I thought the lighting was really good. Sweeping the flashlight across the room creates a lot of tension because you're constantly waiting for something to appear where it wasn't before. And the game also knows when to use blood and graphic imagery. There are some scenes in here that I was like, oh, okay, we're going here. This is cool. I'm into this. But I also like the cinematic approach to the presentation because Unhinged understands that it's sitting somewhere between a video game and an interactive episode of television. And it isn't trying to compete with a massive AAA horror game in the terms of environmental scale and just technical prowess. Instead, the graphics and camera and sound design and performances and acting and excuse me and the phone integration all work pretty damn well. But speaking of acting, let me give you some clips because the acting was pretty damn good.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go check on Joyce.
Hey Joyce, it's Ava. Just checking in with the hurricane. You alright? Joyce?
Shower's on. Fridge is open.
Surprise. This is not going right at all. Oh, what are you doing? I've got everything ready for us downstairs. No, don't rush this. Don't you fucking...
The acting, truthfully, is the strongest component of the entire experience. Zoë Kravitz voices Ava, Sadie Sink voices Claire, and Troy Baker plays Ben. And Ben is the superintendent of the apartment building. And considering Unhinged has such a short runtime, the performances have to establish these characters quickly because there simply isn't enough time for long conversations or extensive character development. But Kravitz does a particularly good job with Ava because she has to carry the entire experience. Her performance communicates fear, urgency, without making Ava sound hysterical during every single dangerous situation. And that becomes important because the player is essentially experiencing the night through her perspective. And she sounds scared when she should be scared, confused when things stop making sense, and increasingly desperate as the situation becomes dangerous. Sadie Sink also works excellent as Claire because much of her performance is experienced through phone conversations rather than the traditional scenes. The friendship between Ava and Claire has to feel believable almost immediately, and Sink gives Claire enough personality that she doesn't simply sound like a character whose only purpose is delivering instructions such as "Go there, he's coming, oh my gosh." And the phone mechanic also makes her performance more effective because you're actually hearing Claire through your device. And I played it connecting it to my Bluetooth headphones so I can actually hear Claire more clearly. And I had to tell you, highly recommend you play it with the actual headphones on, connecting to your phone. It just makes the experience that much more immersive. And Troy Baker is, man, that guy always knocks it out, man. Like Troy Baker's awesome. He understands how to use his voice to make seemingly ordinary dialogue feel slightly uncomfortable. And the less I say about his character, just in case you want to play it, the better in his performance because he brings you like the way he approaches Ben is just like it's textbook serial killer. Just calm, collective, non-threatening. But when he turns it up, and definitely I'll have to say all three performances are hands down great. And one thing I do want to say, one more thing in terms of sound, I felt that the music, believe it or not, kind of ruined this experience for me just a bit. While the music is tense and does well, I felt that there's certain placements and certain choices of style that I felt didn't really complement the experience much. And I forgot what part it is. I think it's when we are in the apartment, another person's apartment. They're looking for a friend, and I felt that this would have worked better without some type of soundtrack playing. They played one of the most classic songs, and I know it's supposed to creep you out. They played a classic 90s R&B track. I want to get freaky with you. I'll just spoil it. I want to get freaky with you in this game. And me growing up in this era, instead of me being immersed in this moment, this really tense moment where we're trying to get Ava out this house, I'm bumping this damn track from the 90s. It's a for me. I felt like this. I understood where they were going with this. I just felt that this particular song took away from the experience for me and killed all tension because my 80s baby's ass, and that's not their fault, that's on me. My 80s baby's ass would just stop and just start listening to it. And I was just like, damn, I gotta add this to Spotify. I forgot all about this track. And but yeah, the music choices in here sometimes I felt kind of killed the vibe with that. Now, on to our final rating here and final score. We're going to bring up the power bar. As you can see, we go max power up. If it's excellent, it's a masterpiece, must play. Level up, excellent, engaging, rewarding. Checkpoint reach, good fun, but with flaws. Low health, weak, struggles to deliver, or game over, not worth your time. I'm going to give Unhinged a checkpoint reach. It's good, it's fun, it's quick, it's a half an hour. It feels more like a proof of concept rather than an actual full blown experience. Don't know why they decided on such a short runtime. I felt that really killed any type of premise that they had here. It's too short to develop any type of connection to the characters or understand the antagonist motives just because he just feels like killing people. It isn't a horror in terms of horror. It's not scary. It's not. Not scary at all. There's one creepy scene in here, but there's no real jump scares or anything like that. It's a thriller, man. You're just going from point A to point B, and it's a good demonstration of what Netflix gaming could become if it keeps this up. if it has a longer story, deeper interactions, and more creative uses of the smartphone or whatever concept they come up with. I'm gonna say this is gonna be a wait and see. Netflix, you're in the arena now. Let's see what you can do. This is Justin from Imaginative Visions. This has been Gaming Central. If you like what we do here, hopefully it earns your subscription. So please hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bells. And another shameless plug, two shameless plugs. If you love wrestling, if you love wrestling video games, if you play 2K, check out our other channel, UWL2K. We have our own universe mode, custom characters, our own original cause. We've been going on almost 5 seasons now. Check it out over there. We have our kind of NXT show coming August 1st, so stay tuned for that. And secondly, and most importantly, my debut novel, Where Light Remains, will arrive August 5th. You can pre-order the Kindle version. Link is in the description. I appreciate all your support. Later days, my friends. I'll catch you on the next one.